local history, local culture, local events, your community. This is the Joe Kelly Show.
Hi there, everybody. Welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us. Howard Bushinger is our guest. Howard is really an expert when it comes to North Utica. He has studied it for many years. He lives there as well. He has his book still for sale at the United County History Center. He's got a calendar for 2023 that's out, limited edition. So if you want to get that, you need to get up to the United County History Center. We'll be talking about North Utica, but before we do that, we're going to say welcome. Good to see you.
Well, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure.
Well, I'm glad it is a pleasure for you. Before we get into some of the books and the new calendar for 2023, North Utica, the boundaries have changed over the years, haven't they?
The boundaries of North Utica, well, in the west, out to Marcy. I think Lorraine Ave is the last street in Utica. And then to the east side is Schuyler. Schuyler down on Herkimer Road. And the Fire Road on just off of Walker Road is the northern boundary. And basically the railroad tracks of the south end.
Mm-hmm. Doesn't the edge of North Utica go to Briarcliff?
Briarcliff is just a little bit beyond that, is before you hit the Schuyler line.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. A little bit east of Briarcliff.
And how has that changed over the years, Howard?
Well, the boundaries, well, if you want to talk about the annexation,
yeah.
The annexation were two. 1891, 250 acres were taken into from Deerfield, and that was they had to straighten the river. There was flooding. New York Central Railroad was going to cut service because of the flooding every spring, so they took care of that. And it was about 25 years later, 1916. Utica annexed roughly 4 square miles, and that had to do with bridges being built over the canal. The canal started to be built in 1905, finished in 1918. But the cost of the bridges over Genesee Street and Leland Ave was really a lot of money. And Deerfield, a dairy community, they couldn't afford the cost of that, so Utica took over 4 square miles. And it was good for those that lived in that annexed area from Deerfield. They now had police service, electric lights back then, and the public schools too, yeah. And a say in the politics of Utica. Yeah. So it was a good thing for the Deerfield residents in that area. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And one of the biggest things that ever happened to North Utica was Riverside Mall, and that's what the calendar focuses in on, pictures from Riverside Mall. How did that come to be?
Riverside, the mall, well, the city officials, they arranged, I'm not sure of the details and the background on how it developed, but once they got going with it, it was straight ahead, and it was the greatest thing that ever happened maybe in the county. It was the first indoor mall in the county. And they opened in August of '74 with, I think they had about 50 or 60 stores to start. They eventually got up to over 80 stores. And they advertised, Riverside Mall, it has it all. And it really did. It had so many features and so many different kinds of stores, and it was, as I say, probably the greatest retail. It took retailing out of downtown Utica, one thing it did, and brought it right over there. It was so popular.
And of course, what Riverside Mall had, and Utica, downtown Utica, didn't have so much was parking.
They claimed the interstate properties that built the mall claimed 3,500 parking spaces. And I believe it. It was really, and they also said that the mall indoor was the size of 12 football fields. 650,000 square feet or some such big figure. And it was really special. And I was involved in some of the recruitment and hiring as I worked for the State Labor Department Employment Division. And I remember when there were the 3 anchor stores. There was J.M. Field to open on the north end, and Montgomery Ward's, and I just don't recall the middle store there. Montgomery Ward's was on the south end. That was the largest.
Was Sears ever in there?
Sears was never in there, no.
Yeah. The other thing that Montgomery Ward's had, or that Riverside Mall had, was a lot of restaurants, places to eat.
A lot of it, yeah. They did. I don't recall how many, but the biggest and the nicest, most expensive as well, was Copperfield's. It was in the south end, on the west side, down on the south end. And all I recall about that was a monstrous fireplace. I remember talking with Art Phillips, the manager ahead of, before Copperfield came in. I was on the inside track on a lot of things coming into the mall. And he said this is going to be really huge and nice. As I recall, it was 2 stories and top service, very, very nice. It unfortunately didn't last that long. For, I suspect maybe they didn't get the traffic that they wanted.
Yeah. The grand opening, was there a big grand opening, Art, down at Riverside Mall?
They had, I don't recall the exact specifics of that, but there was a grand in August of '74, and they had different things they handed out to people. And
didn't they hand out construction hats or something? Construction hats?
Yeah, they had for the kids. They had, in fact, I have one, I got a yellow hat.
Yeah.
It says Riverside Mall on it.
Yeah.
And they had a lot of those.
When we come back, let's talk about another restaurant that's in my head, and I want to see if you remember it. We're going to take a short break. Howard Bushinger is our guest. We're talking about North Utica in general. Right now we're talking about Riverside Mall in particular. Short break, right back. And welcome back, everybody. Thanks for sticking with us. Howard Bushinger is our guest. Howard is really an expert when it comes to North Utica. He's been studying it for many years. He's done books on it. He's got a new calendar out for 2023, all of which is for sale up at the United County History Center at 1608 Genesee Street. What made you get so interested in North Utica, Howard?
Well, I was coerced, in a manner of speaking, to giving a walk and talk on a Monday night tour of down on Herkimer Road, because that's where I grew up. And one of the landmarks guys talked me into that, and so after 2 years of putting it off, I said, okay, I'll do it. And so it went so well, it was a perfect evening, and we walked down from roughly where Burger King is now, down to almost Elmhurst, and I pointed out different things of interest. And when we finished, there were a couple, I remember they were school teachers. They said, you know, we found this really interesting. You should write this down. And I said, well, thank you, and let it go at that. I never planned on it. And little by little, I did start writing, and I just became addicted to it. Mm-hmm. And I had a lot of help from people, opened their scrapbooks and their albums, older people, and I said, yeah, you can take them and scan all these pictures in, and fine, we trust you with it. And it just developed. One thing led to another, and I was very fortunate to get all this help. And Carl Saporito at the History Center, without him I couldn't have done it. He helped put it together, bring the photos and the text together.
Yeah, Carl has done a lot for a lot of people doing this kind of thing. Herkimer Road, a very historic road, going back into, what, Revolutionary War time?
It did. That was the trail that actually General Herkimer came up through there on the way to the Oriskany battle that everybody's heard about. And George Washington came up through there around after the Revolutionary War, around 1784. Right up through there, it was a dirt road, of course. It was called a different name, but Schuyler Road was one of the names that they had on it back then. It was just a dirt, maybe an Indian trail.
Yeah. Now, Herkimer Road was on the north side of the river.
Correct.
And then you had to get to the other side of the river. No bridges, but there was a fording place where about where North Genesee Street is today.
Yeah, it was actually the fording place was, I think, east of where the Union Station, the train station is, where the river, due to a lot of dirt and so forth, carried down into the river from, as I understand it, Reels Creek.
Yeah.
Reels were one of the three settlers that founded Deerfield. And so it was shallow, and they were able to cross there.
Who were the other two settlers?
Demuth and Weavers. Mm. Weavers were big because they discovered a way to make bricks, Weaver bricks. And in my books there, I have a picture of the mold and the bricks, and also photos of a number of the houses that were made from Weaver bricks.
Isn't there a house on Herkimer Road today that was made of Weaver bricks?
I think it is a funeral home now. It's probably the best example of that. I forget what they call it, Italian style or something like that. But that's just east of where Burger King's is located.
That the Heinz Funeral Home?
Heinz, it is. Yes, that's mm-hmm. right. Heinz Funeral Home, and there's another house on the other side of the road, down east further, 705, I believe is the address. It's got 9 fireplaces in it, and there was a General John Weaver, the only general to have ever lived on Herkimer Road. And he's buried in the Baptist church. It's 1801 church, right near Larchmont Ave. Again, just east of Burger King on the other side of the road. So that's a very historic church and burial ground there.
The 1801, boy, you're talking about some old graves in that church, Howard.
There are, yeah. There's, I think, General John Weaver was the War of 1812. The War of 1812, and yeah, they go way back.
It's still a functioning church, is it not? It
is. Yeah, there's a small group there, and they keep it running and doing a nice job with it. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Hey, before we continue on, you told me during the commercial break, you remembered the name of that third store. The one in the middle at Riverside Mall?
Oh, Howland's.
Yeah.
Howland's, yeah, and that was an upscale store, very nice. Ward's was the biggest, and the main store and the last place to close. The mall closed in 1998. Word stayed on until 2001, March of '01. And they had some tough times. They had a roof collapse in '94. We had 30 inches of snow in 2 days, I think, and the roof collapsed. I have pictures of that in my first book.
There was a restaurant that I liked. Copperfield's was nice, but there was a little small restaurant on the south end of the mall in a little corridor. What was the name of that?
Friar's Inn.
Friar's Inn.
Friar's Inn. That's where the waiters or waitresses wore the long, I don't know if you call them gowns, like the friars of old, with a rope tie at the waist, and very nice. And it went over quite well. Mm-hmm. But like a lot of these places, they left the mall for various reasons, which I don't know. I would assume they weren't as profitable maybe as they thought they would be. Mm-hmm. But there was a Friendly restaurant at the other end, at the north end.
Friendly's, yes, I forgot Friendly's.
Carol's became Burger King. That was on the west side up towards the northern end. And I don't know if I can recall all of them. They had an ice cream place in there. I've got the list.
Baskin Robbins, I think. Didn't they have a Baskin Robbins?
Baskin Robbins. You're right, Baskin Robbins. I've got them all listed in my books. I can't recall.
We're going to take a short break, and we come back. We're going to talk some more with Howard Bushinger about North Utica. Short break, right back. And welcome back, everybody. Howard Bushinger is our guest. We're talking about North Utica. Lots of things come to my mind when I think about North Utica, including the Riverside Diner.
Okay, the North Tennessee Club Diner.
Okay.
Is that the one? Yeah. Where Elvis Presley.
Yes, that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, that opened in 1956. And April 4th, 1957, at 4:15 a.m. to be exact, Elvis pulled in his pink and black 57 brand new Cadillac. He was driving, wore a red jacket. There was a police car parked there at the time. And as Nick Montano was one of the police officers, there were two police officers in the car, and they looked, and they said, "Is that?" They thought it might be, so they went over and asked him. And he said, yes, officer, I'm Elvis Presley. And Nick Montano got an autograph on a parking ticket. So Elvis went in the diner, took a booth with his entourage, 2 or 3 guys, and he had breakfast there, and 2 more people got autographs. I think it was Mary Rosato and Tom Strait. He was the short order cook there, Tom Strait. So he gave out 3 autographs that we know of. And I tried to track down the officer that ticket with his autograph on for the book for my. I couldn't do it. I couldn't get it.
What's on that site today?
There's a Citgo. It was a Citgo car wash right there, where the diner sat, and that's now turned into a Citgo store. The car wash is gone.
That's Cliffs, isn't it?
Cliffs, Citgo Cliffs, they call it. Yeah, That's correct. Yeah, and there was another diner that opened in '36, just south, just 100 feet away from where that diner where Elvis came, and that That was purchased, it became the North Genesee Diner. They built a new diner. That lasted for a few years, 20 years, 36 to 56. 56 opened the North Genesee Club Diner. Mm-hmm. And let's see here. It was Carroll County and Sal Gerace opened that diner and ran it for a number of years until Heaton bought it. The Heaton family bought the diner. And Carroll and Sal, they opened the Diplomat down near Reels Creek, down further south on Genesee Street, the Diplomat restaurant.
There's a motel on that site now, isn't there, Howard?
Yeah, it's changed hands a few times. Before it became a motel, it went from the Diplomat restaurant to the Coliseum restaurant. And then it went over to a motel, different motels. It was a Diplomat motel for a while. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's kind of changed hands 3 or 4 times.
The down where what is that? It's an ice cream place,
Cookies,
right?
you're thinking of?
Yeah. What was that originally?
That was first the Northern Hotel, then the Oasis Hotel, and then it went on. I've had to Nicky Doodles. Nicky Doodles was there. They were out of Rome. That's long gone now. Aspen Dental, Elliot's Nest. They called it at one time after Elliot Ness, the mm-hmm. detective, the TV.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was a Village Inn and Pancake restaurant.
I remember that well, yeah.
And that is the same building that Cookies is in.
Right.
And very popular place. That ran for quite a number of years. I think that may have run for 15 or 20 years.
Was the North Genesee Street once a toll road?
There was a toll charge, and I never found out too much about it. Yeah, when you come over in the bridge, come over into North Utica, there was a toll charge there. And in fact, I think they've got a portion of the sign, the toll road sign at the History Center. I don't know if it's on display or if it's in the back room mm-hmm. there, but I believe they have the sign part of it, yeah.
Yeah, the Riverside Mall now really is, what do they call it now?
Riverside Center?
Yeah, yeah.
Riverside Center.
So you've still got a pretty good commercial presence there.
Yeah, they do. They've got, well, when Ward's went out, Ward's, well, when the mall closed in '98, Ward's was still open for 3 more years, as I've already said. They closed in '01, but they had a service area, a little service station, maybe, I don't know, 50, 100 yards away from their main store. And that is now Applebee's. Mm-hmm. Applebee's restaurant is where the building, I think it's pretty much the same building or same location. Mm-hmm.
And one of the other things we ought to talk about, Howard, is where SUNY College is. It's not, what's the current name? They've changed the name so many times down there, but the SUNY College. That used to be land owned by the governor, wasn't it? Didn't the governor have a summer home down there?
I don't recall the details on that site.
Yeah, I've talked about that with Frank Tomeno on several occasions. There was in fact, Frank went back in the woods back there one time and was able to find the foundation. Governor Seymour.
Seymour's, yes, that was a home that eventually burned down.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, Frank's an expert on that. That's for sure.
Yeah. Did you have some other changes there that you wanted to talk about?
I wanted to mention a couple of
go ahead.
Unusual
We've
things.
only got 1 minute, so go ahead.
Well, they had a place right across from where Dunkin' Donuts is now, on the west side of Genesee Street. And it was amusing, Haydenized auto painting systems. Haydenized. $29.95, get your car painted. Mm-hmm. and they had a nicely painted car out in front. But they did a lousy job, and they went out of business quick. Now, orange peel, terrible. The paint didn't hold up, and so they went out pretty quickly. And another place that failed, AAMCO Transmissions, AAMCO, kind of an unusual spelling. They didn't last.
Where were they?
They were, again, right near where Hayden is, almost across from Dunkin' Donuts, on that west side of Genesee Street, North Genesee. And so...
lots of changes over the years.
Pardon?
Lots of changes on North Genesee Street over the years.
Oh, so many. Like I say, I've covered it like a blanket in my books.
Yeah.
I went right down the line, east side, west side, and all the street, Herkimer Road, Riverside. Try to cover everything.
Thanks for coming in. I appreciate it. Always good to see you.
Same here. Thanks for having me on. I always enjoy it.
And Howard's calendar and his books are for sale at the United County History Center. That's going to do it for us this week. We'll be back next week. We'll do it all again. Don't forget CNYhomepage.com. Lots of good stuff there. Until next time, take care of yourself, everybody.